Okay, HTL community, welcome to HTL Podcast Episode 9. The topic is DRM, and this is actually take 2. This has all been recorded once and had some technical difficulties that made it so it didn't get recorded the first time. So this is some dedication by the host and the guest. I appreciate you guys sticking around for the second take.
Hello again, HTL, take 2.
So we have ParagonGreg,
Hey.
our awesome new moderator, as everyone knows. And we have Trex.
Hello. And don't worry about saying the last part of my name. Nobody knows how to pronounce it, not even me.
I was going to say, I can try, but I'm pretty sure I'd butcher the hell out of it. So I'm not even going to bother. So, some community news, highlights, and whatnot. There was a recent chip-in for the Project Eternity by Obsidian Entertainment Kickstarter, which we raised enough money to have our community name put into the credits of the game as a backer of the project. HTL article highlight is the review recently done by G-Man for the Homeworld gaming series, which I wish they'd make another one.
God, yes.
There's also a current initiative for the month being done by, myself and Briefolk, who are willingly going to get tattooed and videotape this if the community raises $800 for the month of October. And we will get something in relation to HTL tattooed on us. I already have about 8-9 of them, so it's just adding to my artwork at that point.
So we're at $98, by the way. We didn't do this the first time, folks, so this is brand new. We didn't actually get a progress update. $98 of the $800. So that's $702 to go in 21 days. So if you wanted to see this happen, you need to drop cash, or you're not going to see it happen. And if you don't want to see it happen, then
donate anyway.
Probably donate anyway, even if you don't want to see it happen, just because it's good for the site.
So we will be recording. If we do raise that money, we will be recording this for the community in respect to the tattooing, which some people, depending where you get them, say hurts. Others, for me, it's all the same.
Yeah, it just depends on where you get them.
Where you get them and how tough the skin, how tough the actual skin is.
From my own experience, inside part of the elbow where all your nerves are, and the outside part of your elbow, and the upper part of under your armpit is the worst because of the nerve clusters.
Because there's no fat there. It's all nerve. It's all nerve.
Yeah.
Unlike on your upper forearm, there's a lot of muscle and fat there, so there's not a lot of nerve endings.
Yeah.
So it would hurt a lot less.
Right. Now, I think Bree already said she's doing it on the outside of her shoulder.
Yeah, she's doing the one where,
she's so
it'd be an upper shoulder. So
yeah.
I already have one up there, so I can't really do that.
She's a soldier.
I already have two on my forearms. I have my knuckles done. I have my elbow done. I have 2 on my leg.
Damn.
Yeah. So where are you going to get it done? The community needs to know.
I'm probably going to get it incorporated into one of my tribute tattoos that I have for a couple of my buddies. Just because the logo works out well for the original intent that I had for the tribute tattoo anyway. So.
All right. The important thing here is that if we don't get the $800, you shouldn't get the tattoo, because that just sends a bad message.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to reward the community. I mean, I'll just get a different tattoo.
Yeah, there you go. That's what's going to happen, community. He's going to get a different tattoo.
We're bribing the community for free advertising everywhere we go for HTL.
Right.
What better way for advertising initiatives can you do than someone tattooing the logo and the site name on themselves? It's permanent
I don't know
advertising.
about you. I don't know why y'all gonna pass this up. I might even put $30 in my own pot for it.
So
I don't know about you, but I love seeing nerds in pain.
So those are a few of the articles and the blog highlights that we have going on right now. New monthly content. We recently did an HTL Let's Play. Episode 1, we did Tribes Ascend, and we discussed microtransactions and free-to-play. And Greg, you were part of that conversation, buddy.
I was there. You guys have been getting so much of me lately that I'm surprised I keep getting invited back. But yeah, so yeah, you got me on that one too. It was a good conversation. I didn't play the game, so it was really kind of for me more of a let's listen. But I was watching football. If that counts, I'm going to say that counts. So I was watching football.
You weren't playing football, so hence it doesn't count.
All right, so that doesn't count. But I was
He was actively participating.
Right, I was actively participating in the conversation, but not the online play. And but I did go back and see the gameplay later, and it does look like a fun game. I will give it that.
And just as a side note, Siren was there, and I was there, and we both got our asses kicked.
No, that's true.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep.
So, on to some of the current initiatives that we are involved in, and some of upcoming events. HTL goes to GamerCon. This is the main focus main initiative that we are focusing on, that I'll keep bringing up in every episode, podcast, and live stream, as this is the big thing for the year that the community has to look at participating in and taking part of.
Hey, when is GamerCon?
August. It's in the middle of August next year. I can't remember the exact dates off the top of my head. I want to say I was
trying to help you out, give you the lead in, and you just totally dropped the ball.
Yeah, what can I say? I want to say it's anywhere from the 15th, the week of the 15th or the 22nd. I can't remember.
You are way off. GamerCon will be August 3rd to the 4th.
Oh wow,
2013 in San Francisco, California.
And this is the ill-prepared host, so I am sorry, community.
Yeah. No, I just Googled it.
Greg is doing my job for me.
That's what I do. Yeah, so it's in San Francisco, California. I don't know if they have a venue picked out yet.
Yes, they do. The venue is picked out. It's on the social. It's on the media, the group page for it. I want to say HTL GamerCon. It should be
the very first. Let people know where we're going. I'm trying to look it up too, but
HTL. Let's see. It goes to GamerCon. Yeah, there's a hotel. God, my enunciation. Greg, how's your Japanese?
Yeah, my Japanese is weak.
Horrible. Mine's horrible.
Hotel Tomo and excuse me if I'm butchering the enunciation. Kabuki, Hotel Kabuki are the two places that have deals for the site. And one of those hotels, I want to say it's the Hotel Kabuki that will be hosting the actual event.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, there'll be a table there, and I think we have some members who are actually manning the table.
Yes, we do. The selection process is still being decided on that one.
Right. I won't be there. I don't live anywhere near the Bay Area, and no offense to the con, I would love to go, but if I did find myself in the Bay Area and I was there, and it was either go to a gaming convention or go to Napa and have myself a butt ton of wine, I am wining it up, everybody.
Sadly, I'm nowhere near San Francisco. I'm as far right up of California as possible. So there's no chance of me going there, sadly.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of the country. So
I'm above you, Greg.
yeah, you are. You are even farther than me. So I won't be going. That's also not really a great weekend for me. But hey, if you are in the area, absolutely go. We're going to be there. It'll be a fun time. And but I'm not. I go to a lot of the East Coast, Northeast conventions. But
another thing I wanted to mention as far as conventions, PAX East. Are you going, Greg?
Undecided.
Depends on time, but I'm planning.
I may go for a day. I have to. I have to try to plan it and see if I can go, and then the thing I don't want to have happen is because last year, if you recall, I was in Boston, but I actually had tickets to Fenway Park during PAX.
Why wouldn't you go to Fenway?
Right. So, given the choice,
but PAX East, we will be doing. There will be a bunch of HTL people being there.
Yeah, and
I will be there. I know Clarisent will be there. I know another member, I can't remember off the top of my head who will be there. Osmologist, the actual podcast host, will be there as well.
Yeah, he lives that area too. I'm gonna try to make it, but I can't commit right now. And if I would go, it'd only be for the Saturday, not the Sunday.
Yeah,
I'm a one day goer strictly. New York Comic Con, Rhode Island, one day. Kineticon, I'm gonna plug Kineticon.
Yeah, don't blame me. So there will be people going to PAX East for HTL. So if you plan on going, want to go, or looking for other HTLers that are going to be there, by all means, let us know because we'll be there. And on the last note, an HTL community live stream, DJ, Rachel, and myself have been doing these. These are events that focus solely on community-based content and concerns and whatnot. So that'll be happening on 10/16, and it'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry for those that are on UTC or other times. That is the most convenient way to time it. So, on to the topic of discussion again. Greg, what is DRM?
DRM, wow. You ever get that deja vu feeling?
Yeah, quite often.
DRM is digital rights management for those who like to use acronyms without knowing what they stand for. Now, this takes many different forms, and it's used in many different medias, some of which you may have and you don't even know about. It's in your phones, it's in the DVDs and CDs. But for the purposes of what we're talking about today, we're actually talking about it as it relates to gaming, because that's what we do. And for that, digital rights management is it's a verification process through any slew of different means that can be done, just to verify that the digital rights of the game are only being used by a legitimate user. It's a way of just determining that it's going to a legitimate user, vice a pirate.
Very good and very thorough. So,
I've had practice.
Yeah, I wonder why. I think we all have. Trex,
yes.
What?
Yes.
Well, what is the original intent for DRM? Even though Greg partially explained it.
Oh, it's quite simple, really. Put a halt to piracy through use of either programming or external means. There's some that uses internal means, like a lot of old school games will have anti-pirating features, or you won't get past certain levels. I mentioned before in an alternate universe, I mentioned Earthbound. Last level of the game. You're drawing along. You're ready to get at the last boss. Right when you get to him, for some reason the game freezes. So you restarted as a common gamer back in the early 90s, only to find your save games absolutely gone. This is a form of DRM. though this one is obviously more or less harder to come by. That is a form of digital rights management. Just to prove that the actual person who owns the game actually owns the actual copy of that game and not a pirated version or pirated material based off that game.
And for those that are wondering what Trex means, is there is a more recent game, Batman Arkham Asylum, for those on the PC end who decided to pirate the game or, download an illegal version of it. You couldn't use the cape gliding at all if you did not have a legitimate copy of the game. So, imagine trying to play Arkham Asylum without that particular function. Makes it a rather hard game.
Yeah, you would eventually not make it past, because there's the whole little sequence after you get to the remote Batcave where you have to glide back to the island, and you wouldn't be able to make it there.
Exactly.
Arkham City had one too.
Yep.
Yeah, Arkham City had one too. And the Raza.
Not only that one, but if you go into the first building in the game, if you go into it and the game is pirated, it freezes completely.
Excellent.
Nice. So those are more recent ways of gameplay being interrupted in a DRM type fashion. So, with that being said, Greg, how does it function? We discussed that there's a lot of different ways of going about DRM as far as how it's implemented.
I mean, there's all kinds of different ways it can be done, and some of them range from before the age of the internet, where this sort of thing could be readily shared. It used to be. Those of you who played games back then will remember, like, if you turn to page 3 in the manual, what is the first word on the fourth row? I know in the old Star Trek game that I used to love, it was a star map, and they would say you have to go to a specific planet. And if you didn't have the star map, you wouldn't know which planet, because there were hundreds to choose from. And if you went to the wrong one, then a whole bunch of Klingons would show up and attack you. Then it gets to be more software based and included in the game. I had mentioned before that like for the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo 64, they were cartridges. A lot of it used to be done with cartridge shapes to make sure that you purchased it correctly to control you that way. DVDs and Blu-rays, they will have region codes encoded in them, so that if you didn't have it encoded the right way, the Xbox used to have a very specific starting code that if you didn't get it done on a specific burner, then it wouldn't have that same code, and then you wouldn't be able to play it. In some cases, it's online verification, where you have to go online and enter a CD code. Sometimes it's a local CD code that you have to enter. There were times where I think I remember, and I mentioned that if you... I think id Software used this one, where if you'd make a purchase on your online, and then you'd get a code, and then you have to call up an 800 number and give them that code, and then they give you an unlock key. And then it even gets invasive as far as some DRM actually puts itself onto your computer, perhaps without your permission, perhaps very invasively onto your computer, like at step 1. Some currently used online gaming retail sites do this. Ones that are owned by EA. Star Force is another pretty key example. They got a lot of people upset because... I mean, Star Force very invasively put itself on your system to the extent that it caused a lot of issues on people's hardware. I mean, that's off the top of my head. Granted, I did this once before, so
yeah,
few extra on the top of my head this time.
I was going to say, from my own personal experience with Star Force, I bought the original as I said before, I purchased a legitimate copy of X3. It's a space exploration, space sim fighter type game. Awesome game. However, with Star Force, when you have a DVD burner and Star Force don't play nice together. Something about, what they call packet step down, more or less, is as far as your read speeds and whatnot go down, your write speeds go down to the point where your drive basically becomes a 1x reader, which is, well, not fast enough to damn near do, well, anything. So, it's I love things like that. Or we have things like Secure-ROM, which have a 5 limit PC install, which I don't know about you guys. I have more than 5 PCs, and I have one copy of one particular game that I can't install on all my systems because of that. So, yeah, the way it's implemented is on PCs is not so much fun. Consoles take more of the Apple approach. They're more of the walled garden approach to DRM, more or less. At least in my estimation. I know that's kind of a vague oversimplification of the actual process, but... But we didn't get into some of the other forms of DRM, which are always on DRM and
always on DRM.
Woo!
And then you have things like Steam. So let's get into Steam in a bit. Always on DRM. Trex, you seem to have quite an opinion on this one, so I'll let you get into it.
Greg or me?
No,
that's you. We're letting you go. Always on DRM.
Yes, always on DRM. Now, always on DRM is DRM that is always persistent, always checking you for information, always require internet connection, which not a lot of people have most of the time. I have a laptop, and I think a lot of gamers that on the go do. This means that we're not always connected to the internet at all times. Meaning, if we're let's say down at my cousin's house, I can't always be readily available to go on the internet to always activate my game. Thus, I cannot play the game. That is annoying on so many levels, especially if you have to especially for those who are not grateful enough to have internet at the time, or maybe not at all. It takes away the rights of the actual consumer, which I believe that most companies were supposed to care for if they wanted the money. Also, somebody's always on DRM does not leave itself well to like Greg mentioned, Assassin's Creed 2, which also uses what was it called again, Greg?
Star Force.
Which also used Star Force DRM. Yeah. As somebody who personally used it, and he had the similar experience. I had both a CD burner and a DVD burner. Don't judge. I know I said I've only had one. For some reason, after I installed Assassin's Creed 2 on there, it just started to slow down slowly to a chug until I had to eventually get rid of it. Apparently, Star Force was the reason. Stuff like this becomes more hurtful than it's harmful because it ends up pissing off the consumer. Why would we want to buy something that just ends up completely killing our system?
Yep, I agree. As far as the particular thing around Star Force, you know from a customer service aspect that it's bad when the first thing anyone types in for Star Force is not the actual company website, but a boycott for it. And that's in Google, no less. So you know there might be a small problem with the DRM that is inconveniencing your legitimate users.
Holy crap, you're right.
Told you. So, it's pretty bad when it gets to that point. Now, rolling into the next question, which is where I find Steam, is are there any acceptable forms of DRM?
Yes, there is. He mentioned one of probably the earlier ones that probably would work, which is the old put in a key combination here sort of DRM. It works partially, but nowadays it obviously won't work anymore. Or the old serial keys in the back of the jewel case. That's another similar one. Or how about just one-time activation? Be online once, activate it once, never have to deal with it again. Never have to worry about people peeking in my systems.
My biggest concern is, as far as always on or acceptable forms, is when the player experience, say for like Assassin's Creed or Assassin's Creed 2, the player experience is meant to be insular. It's not meant to be, a multiplayer experience. Yes. When you have a single-player experience being forced to have an always-online component that isn't multiplayer in any way, shape, or form, it detracts from the experience as a customer and treats me as though I am breaking the law when I'm trying to play a legitimate product that I own.
I understand if it's like a big multiplayer game and you want to punish users who obviously did pirate the game. That makes a bit of sense. But when it's put on a single player game, you really have to question it. I mean,
right. It gets to a question, which we're not going to go all the way down this road, but there's so many factors that could prevent you from playing your single player game. And it brings up the question, all right, so do you actually own the game that you paid for, or are you just paying for the privilege of playing a game that somebody else actually owns?
Absolutely.
Because we're not going to get into that, because that gets into the whole licensing and whatnot issue.
We're not going to get into it, but that's the question that's asked.
And trust me, I don't even think we'll be able to scratch the surface of that issue.
Right.
No. Now, as far as acceptable forms of DRM, to me, it's about the one that inconveniences me less.
Right. It's whatever is completely transparent to the user. Steam is transparent to the user. Most people don't even notice when Steam does DRM checks because you purchased the game, you installed the game, it did a DRM check in the background while you were doing all that stuff. You don't even know it happens. And that's really the best kind.
And as far as the always needing the online component for it, if you're on Steam, well, you pretty much have come to accept that fact, more or less, of Steam.
Right. If you're on Steam buying a game, then you're online. So you can do that online.
You really don't need to worry about it too much. So, to me, Steam is a happy medium for those of us who really, really dislike DRM.
You mean like 90% of PC gamers?
Well, that's the problem. That leads into the problem of the next question, which we'll get into. But, there are very few acceptable forms of DRM. Steam being one of them. There are some other services like Desura and a few others that are along the same lines that are acceptable forms of DRM. Like, I get the intent. I understand their business modeling and the reason behind it. The fact of the matter is you're treating a legitimate paying customer as they did something wrong when you're trying to stop somebody else from doing something wrong. Newsflash to publishers, people are going to break your crap regardless of whether or not you like it.
Oh, no doubt.
So look at the console, people, Jew-hots with the PS3 or any of the Xbox 360,
You just reminded me of a game that had that exact same issue which is one of the earliest uses of kill bomb going wrong. Spore.
Yeah, where you couldn't deactivate it on an install.
2004. Was it 2004 or was it 2006? But it was the most pirated game of that year.
Yeah, and the thing was, though, the reason it was pirated so much was because the DRM didn't work.
With such shit.
Yeah.
It was mind-numbing how bad it was and how much it took away from a sort of good experience. I'm not gonna say the game was great.
Right. You know you're doing something wrong when legitimate users have purchased your game and are now hacking it or pirating it so that they don't have to deal with your DRM.
Exactly.
And newsflash to publishers, that's bad customer service.
Yeah, you're going to make a lot of people upset that way. And, I mean, upset people eventually don't buy your games.
Nope. And on a similar note, one I did mention the boycott Star Force. What ended up happening to the developers and publishers who use Star Force? They stopped using it. So I'll give good props to Ubisoft, Codemasters, and I want to say it's CDV that stopped using the damn thing.
Uh-huh.
Because, hey, look, you noticed that your sales for PC games in particular tanked.
Yes.
So, Steam seems to be the most convenient way of dealing with DRM and the most transparent way that we currently have.
Except there's one other site which offers a different alternative altogether that's even more convenient than Steam.
Oh, you mean...
Yeah, that site.
GOG.com. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about GOG.com. Good old games. On this website, you can purchase lots of games, current games, old games, modern classics. They're purchased sometimes discounted prices, sometimes full price, depending on how new the game is. But the bottom line is none of the games have DRM. They are all 100% DRM free.
And if you're on HTL, why the hell are you not going there? Because DRM is an issue that this community seems to want to address. So why not support a company who doesn't do DRM? And for those that don't know what GOG is, exactly. For those that don't know who runs GOG, it's done by the guys from CD Projekt Red who work on the Witcher franchise and also the upcoming Cyberpunk game.
Right. But, I mean, it's a good point. If DRM's an issue for you and you want to support someone who doesn't use it, then yeah, GOG.com. And also, if you just want to play some older games that are really good and worth a look, go to GOG.com. There's just no good reason not even to look. You'll find something you like.
I mean, if you can find Fallout 2 there, I'm pretty sure you'll be satisfied with the other selection.
Yeah. Oh, and as a side note to the community, I noticed in the chat box on the forum someone wanted to know who Chris Roberts was. Wing Commander, Privateer, Starlancer, Freelancer. That's all I'm going to say. If you like Space Sims, that's who Chris Roberts is. Go to GOG. You can find Wing Commander, Privateer. You can also find Free Space and Free Space 2, which are, to me, the definitive games for having a awesome space sim.
Yeah. A lot of classic point and clicks in there too that I grew up with. The Police Quest series, Quest for Glory, King's Quest, all good stuff. It's all on there, super cheap. I can't say enough good things. They don't pay us to say this. This is just us loving the site so much that we're actually trying to go put it out there and get more people to use it because we want them to succeed.
Exactly. Which brings me to an interesting side note as far as DRM inconvenience. The group behind GOG, CD Projekt Red, made an interesting discovery as far as DRM. They found that when The Witcher 2 was released, it was released on a GOG version, which is, DRM free, and a Steam version and a retail version, which came with, I want to say it was Secure ROM, but I'm not 100% sure on the actual DRM scheme that they used. They found that the the Steam version was the most cracked version, whereas as far as pirated version, which I found interesting when most people would assume that automatically the DRM free version would be the one that is the most pirated. Why do you guys think that is? Because
it's not. It wasn't about the money. It was about the challenge. If it people aren't just pirating because, like, oh, well, I decide I want this game for free, so I'm going to pirate it. It's usually a lot like, they want to prove to themselves they can do it, so they put this pirated game out there, and they send it out there to kind of be like, hey, look what I just cracked.
Trax?
Did we lose him?
Hey, Trax, you there?
My mic keeps shutting off. I keep pressing the little button in the middle. Anyway, a perfect example of you saying it's a challenge, because you're absolutely right. Every time you go to one of these things, every time you go to one of these pirating areas, you will always see in the description, that little box, support the developers. Note the key word there, support the developers. They're calling them out. It's a challenge. It's nothing but a game. It's nothing but a game to them.
Mm-hmm.
And also, another reason is because they actually give people what they want. They don't wish to be. They wish to be treated as customers. A customer who got a game that they are satisfied with. If you put out a good product, they'll sell. Well, if you put out a good product with good advertising, it'll sell.
For me, doing PC repairs and stuff, you find a lot of the weird things like what you just mentioned, Trex, about, hey, support the developers in a lot of those TXT files and whatnot. And it's like, they view it as a game. It's a game to them to, break, I don't want to say break the thing, because it's really not, to remove a limitation on the software.
It's not
It's a challenge to them. And I'm going to, some people might disagree with the economics aspects of it, of, oh, every pirated game is a lost sale. Well, that's relative to the downloaders more than the actual people cracking your game.
Microsoft doesn't see it that way. I'm just going to say that right now.
Microsoft also gave us games for Windows.
Good point.
Yeah.
If you want to talk crappy DRM, it hasn't been updated since 2009.
Yeah, but
That's used?
yeah. Unfortunately, the truth is that there are lots and lots of feelers out there to try to get an idea of whether or not it's a lost sale. And well, the publishers love to say every pirated game is a lost sale. The truth is, a lot of people wouldn't be buying these games, but they would definitely get them for free. And so that's not necessarily the case. However,
it's very complicated in terms of why people get it, why people pirate games, and there's a lot of stuff to factor in, and it varies from people to people. So it's to say that it's hard to discern why and if it hurts sales. It's very hard to do.
Right. But the bottom line is that regardless of what DRM is in place, regardless of how new or how old, people are pirating it.
Yes.
Yes.
And another thing I'd like to mention, pirating has been around longer than people think it has. It's not a new idea, and it's not that hard. It wasn't hard to do then as it is now. In fact, Super Nintendo was rampant to pirating. Why do you think I just named that Earthbound one? Why do you think I named that Earthbound example before?
Mm-hmm.
It was put there for a reason.
And so while we've gotten into the acceptable forms of DRM and, how it doesn't work, which obviously answers the question, does it do what it was originally intended to do? No, it doesn't stop piracy. It encourages it, if anything. Because they're publishers that use these draconian types of DRM are encouraging people, legitimate customers, to go out and say, hey, I need this because this is limiting my use of this product.
Exactly. It's another example of treating your customers with the respect that, with treating your money right. That's what. It's another example of treating your money right. I want to say that the relationship between the consumer and a business is kind of like a relationship. You treat it right, everything goes smoothly. You treat them right, everything goes smoothly. If you spend time, huh?
I was gonna say, Greg, you'll get the reference, but you almost sound like you're trying to coax a Windows server.
Just come on, man, come on.
Sorry, couldn't
long story short, you treat your customers right, they're gonna treat you right. You treat them like crap, they cheat on you with Bethesda and Valve.
Yeah, if the bottom line is you treat a customer like the lowest common denominator, they will be more than happy to meet your expectation.
Yeah, exactly. The problem boils down to now is that legitimate customers, most of this is on PC gaming, but some of this boils down to console gaming too, is that some gamers feel like a lot of legitimate gamers feel like they're being treated as pirates when they're legitimate customers.
Exactly.
And that is a bad place for a publisher or a developer to be. And if you guys think that you're curb stomping your piracy by adding DRM and treating your potential customers like crap, then you're in a sad reality check is needed, because that is not the way to treat a customer. As someone who runs their own business, that is definitely not the way and the intent you want to do. Your customers are your cash flow, your lifeblood, and the thing that keep you going. So the DRM is not doing what it needs to do. It is creating it's making legitimate customers
the point remains.
Turn into pirates, if anything. Or turn to piracy in that area to solve an issue that it doesn't need to be there, or as complicated as the developers and publishers are making it.
Or you can just look at it as it frustrates your legitimate users because the pirates were going to pirate it anyway. You didn't stop them.
Sonic the Hedgehog from Sonic
exactly.
once said, no copyright law in the universe is going to stop me. And at that instant,
obviously
almost
it doesn't
1 million
work.
pirates were
So
born.
what does DRM mean for actual gamers, though? I mean...
a bloody inconvenience.
It's inconvenient. It's hindered gameplay. It's, do you actually own the game you bought? It's a lot of questions which don't answer well for the consumer, unfortunately.
No, and we get it. We get why they want to do it, but it's not fair to the consumer who legitimately purchased the product. I legitimately purchased Assassin's Creed 2. My little CD-ROM, I shouldn't have to spend another $30 to get my CD-ROM drive fixed.
Is a matter
or
of
get another one in general.
Convenience, not a matter of publisher convenience. Or developer convenience, or developer concern, or publisher concern. Those should be part of it, but your bottom line is your customer service. And I hate design theory, but your customer experience and your user experience should be good. And if you're not providing that as a developer or a publisher, then I'd hate to say it, you're doing it wrong.
Well, that's with any company in general. You was just better off saying any company, because it's, let's face it, it's just...
Well, it's especially important, though, in a consumption content consumption medium, though. And when you're not providing the most convenient way of doing things, and you're making it harder for your legitimate customers, you're only losing sales because of your own
exactly.
choices.
The customer should feel like they own that product. We paid $60 for this. We should own this product. Should legally be ours. Nothing should create that doubt in our head that it isn't.
So, DRM is a bad place for PC gamers in particular. Seem to have it the worst. Console gamers have more of a walled garden approach.
Yeah.
Would you say?
In the console world, it doesn't feel as bad because a legitimate user gets to use their disc. You know, for the most part, you buy your disc, you put it in, you can play the game. As I said, about the one way that I've ever found it the most inconvenient is when you play a game with multiple discs on the 360, for example. Even if you have the whole thing installed on your hard drive, you still got to swap the discs out.
But that's less DRM and more console limitations.
Well, I mean, it's DRM. Like you can physically install the entire disk onto your hard drive to the point where it doesn't have to read the disk. But the DRM of the console is you have to have the disk in there anyway, so that they know that you actually have the disk. And that's. But I mean, when that's as bad as it gets, I mean that's nothing.
Yeah. Again, I shrugged it off. So what did that tell you?
I was going to say, whereas PC gamers have it. Oh, how's this going to break my system now?
I don't have to worry about like when I put in Mass Effect into my Xbox, it's going to somehow break it because it wants to make sure that it's in the right thing.
And that have your disc
the father's battery in 6 months anyway.
Yeah. And then if Xbox Live goes down, I can still play my games. And...
Don't go with the 3 red rings and tags. That's what I mean.
I'm sorry, Xbox users. I have one too. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Although for Xbox users who've used Mass Effect, this is just kind of my off topic. Do you ever notice how that thing spins in that disk drive? Like it feels like it's going to just spin out and like fly into the wall.
That is not a good thing. That's actually very common with early Xboxes, actually, and pretty much why everything happens.
Yeah. Anyway, I have one of the newer models now, so I don't really see that a whole lot. But yeah, that was all right. Back on topic. I apologize.
Yes.
Yeah, back on topic. So DRM is crappy. Inconvenient DRM is crappy customer service. Let me rephrase.
Yeah, you can have DRM.
DRM is. DRM.
You can do it, and it can be done well. Yeah,
but just not
don't
crappy
make it crappy DRM.
Yes. Treat your money right, man.
Yeah, it's so sad that we're having this whole podcast, and like the moral of the story is, hey, don't be a jerk.
Yes.
That's all we're asking. Yeah. Like, we don't want the world. We don't want free content. Just stop being a jerk.
We don't want to hate you for this. For something as petty as this, we don't want to dislike your actions, but don't be a jerk to us.
Yeah. I know, and it's just like
video game.
We want it. It's one of those
stuff like this is a service to us.
It's just us
service.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those we're here, shut up, take our money kind of thing. But on the same note, you guys make it so we don't want to say that. You guys make it want to say
I should spend money.
No. Which we don't condone piracy.
We do not. No. You should legitimately purchase your games. Piracy is illegal, and Interpol and the $10,000 and FBI warning and all that.
You do not want to mess with the FDIC.
What we are saying... What we are saying, though, is that because of crappy DRM schemes that are being placed on PC or console, less on console, but more on PC, that you are turning legitimate customers into those things that publishers and developers dread so much.
Yeah, I think DRM turns more legitimate customers into pirates than pirates into legitimate customers.
Exactly. But we'll end this on a positive note for the podcast. I will say mad props to Ubisoft for getting rid of their always on DRM.
Thank goodness.
Good job, Ubisoft.
It's that kind of way of actually thinking about your customers and giving a damn that actually matters, devs and pubs. That's all we're asking. Take us into consideration. Not your bottom dollar is important, as it should be, but take your audience into consideration. So you can increase
your bottom dollar.
Exactly. Because it's the customer service aspect of the business and what you guys are doing that actually matter. So if you guys want a consistent stream of money, I'd recommend improving that customer experience.
Exactly.
Just a little.
Yeah, it'll do nothing but help you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what we're, like we said.
Don't be a jerk.
Don't be a jerk.
We want to buy your stuff. We really do. We'll do it. We promise you.
Yeah, it's just don't be a jerk with the terms in which we have to. We already give up enough as it is. Don't make us give up more.
I want to buy the new SimCity. I really do. Not if it has always on DRM, but I really do.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who wanted Diablo 3 but didn't buy it.
I'm one of them.
Same.
I won't buy it for the life of me because of the always on DRM.
So there you go. There's users right here, right in this very podcast.
3 sales
based on this podcast as a data point. That's 75% of the base population would have bought Diablo 3 if it wasn't for the DRM. I just made that up, but there's real numbers of people who would have purchased it had it not been for the DRM.
Yeah, and not to get onto a side tangent, this is an important thing for those that report the media to report.
Yeah.
It's an important thing that
I think especially when Air 37s, this got shrugged off a lot by a lot of the major media when this should have been a glaring negative point.
Oh, yes.
Yes. It means that they were not prepared properly, which is a bad customer service, which means, guess what? Your review score should take a ding as well.
I'm just saying, like, if I'm playing a single-player game and the company that made that game, if their servers go down, I should probably still be able to play.
Now 37, be quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't get an error 37 for a single-player focused game. I'm sorry.
So there are you. So we didn't actually end on a positive note. We went negative again. So now you got to come up with another positive.
GOG.
GOG.
GOG, and another positive note, I'll give props again to the companies that got rid of Starforce for the PC gamers.
Thank you.
That is good customer service and good on you. And I'll even go one further. Egosoft, the developers behind X3. Anytime you buy a physical hard copy of their games now, like I have X3 Gold Edition, which comes with a bunch of mods and stuff from the community. On the box, bright yellow lettering. DRM
Good
free.
job, guys.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Egosoft. I know you guys took a lot of flack when you guys decided to go with Starforce. So, good on you guys, and hope more devs and pubs follow that model.
And support companies
Obsidian,
that don't use it anymore, too, because you vote with your wallet.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Obsidian Entertainment. I will give props for Project Eternity. Will be on GOG.
DRM free. You know that's where I'll be buying it.
Yes, it is.
That is exactly what I told and tweeted right at.
And if you want to send a message to the companies who still do DRM, money talks, bullshit runs a marathon. Speak with your wallet.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right. So, at the end of the day, support the companies and the initiatives that you feel best support you and your stance on DRM. whatever they've been.
Absolutely. So anyway, so I guess we're at the point where we talk about what we've been playing.
Yeah, we'll wrap this up. And Greg,
for the second time, I'm actually between the first podcast and the second podcast, I am still playing L.A. Noire. I didn't beat it in that brief intermission we had. I did not beat it in a half hour. No, I'm playing L.A. Noire.
It's only a 25-hour game.
Yeah, it's longer than that for me. I have this bad habit is I play a case and then I go back and play it again so I can 5-star it. So it's taking me about twice as long, but
100%.
Oh, people in their OCD.
But yeah, but it's a fun game. I love it. I'm having a blast playing it. It's super fun. All the graphics and like the people's faces and stuff looks great. Good time with the game. I can't really think of too many negative things to say about it. I think it's super fun. I really like it. And next up in my queue, as soon as I'm done with this, I'm gonna play Lego Batman 2.
I actually began playing that with my little nieces and nephews who like visiting. It's a fun game. And really shows that games can just be fun once in a while.
Yeah, every now and then, especially after a game that kind of goes as dark as L.A. Noire is, and it's serious and mature. It's kind of nice to have like just a fun, silly game to play.
Yes, speaking for what I'm playing, for every Skyrim I play, which I'm playing right now, still. I also just recently decided to buckle up in Steam and get Sonic CD, and it's mostly because I have good memories, so much good memories of it. Mostly because of the soundtrack, which is absolutely spectacular.
Probably the best I've ever heard on a game.
No, without a doubt, especially for the year it was released.
Oh yeah, and I'll say it right now, best of the Sonic games.
Ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Hands down. Hands freaking down.
You just not hugging GOG again. I'm actually downloading Chronicles of Riddick as we speak.
Chronicles of Riddick.
Yes.
That game was so much better than it had any right
$15.
Yes.
The only good movie tie-in game.
Not even a good movie. Awesome tie-in game. Who saw that come?
Whoa.
Yes.
I can't stand Vin Diesel for the life of me. But when I'm playing that game, I don't care. I love him for some reason. He actually did very good with that game. They actually did very amazing with that game. And another one. Another one. I had it for a while, but I just started replaying it again because I always replay it every few months. Streets of Rage remake.
Ooh, heard about this.
Oh my gosh! You want to talk about fans? You want to talk about fan loves for classic games? That is probably one of the biggest love letters to a single game series of all time. Granted, their love was returned with a cease and desist notice. Right when it was completed, mind you. So it was far from too late. But
SDK.
It was far from too late by that. But if you guys really love those classic beat 'em ups and a kick-ass soundtrack at that, get that game. Find a way. Well, depending on if you can find a way, if it's still legal to get the game or not. I'm not sure of its legal status as of yet. But if you can get the game and it's legal, I implore you, get it. You will not be disappointed.
No, I know for myself, I've been playing Blades of Time, which is, how do I put this?
Yeah.
I played the demo. The demo was pretty meh.
Not bad, not bad, not great. For $10, I can't really complain for what it is. So
it's Oblivion level to me.
Yeah.
To me, Blades of Time is kind of it's It's something that kills some entertainment time.
Yeah.
It's really all it is.
It's like when you
mindless
watch the bad
entertainment is
movie,
really
and even though it's still bad, you can still kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so bad it's good
Yeah.
kind of deal.
Yeah.
Well, not even that.
Yeah.
It's just entertaining
To
enough.
hold you through. Like the first Transformers movie. The first
Yeah.
one.
But I've also been playing the free space games. Is where I've been spending most of my time. Ever since I just saw Chris Roberts coming back to his roots as a game dev, I was like, oh, free space, yes.
See, and that's another thing, because I haven't heard of Free Space yet. I've never heard of Free Space. Love Wing Commander, but never heard of Free Space. So I might check that out myself. And it's available on GOG.
It's available on GOG.com.
On GOG.com. That is
Great.
correct.
More memory of mine
You
down
can't
the drain.
tell where... Oh, come on, they're like $6.
I
They're not that
didn't say
expensive.
money, I said memory.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say money. Yeah, I'm like, they're like $6.
Yeah,
They're not that
$6.
expensive.
$6 for free space plus the expansion. How can you go wrong? Great space sim.
Yeah, love them. So, GOG.com is where we recommend getting your games.
Can't say enough good things about it. All right, this is I don't PC game and I GOG.com all the time. So there you go.
Yes.
So, there you guys go. That's our take on it. Would probably be most of the community's take on DRM. It's simple. Publishers, developers,
Jerk.
don't be a jerk.
Treat us right, and we treat you
And
right.
that's where we'll end this podcast. Exactly. So, I want to thank Greg and Trex for joining us. Greg, you'll probably be on one of the other podcasts again.
Nope.
Wouldn't surprise
That
me.
seems to be my calling.
And Trex, thanks for joining us.
Never
Much
mind, and I'll
appreciated.
try to see if I can join you for the
HBO
community podcast later.
That'll be on
I'll-
the 16th at 9 p.m.
Eastern?
So.
I'll be there.
Yep. So, all right, HDL community, that is it for this episode of the HDL
All right.
podcast.
See you later.
Bye, HDL.